Lily and Rachel Evans were sisters by blood, but strangers by nature, one driven by loyalty, the other by desire. When Lily moved into her older sister's perfect suburban home, no one suspected that behind her smile was a plan so twisted it would end in betrayal, obsession, and cold-blooded murder. The Evans family lived in a quiet neighborhood just outside Savannah, Georgia, where life moved slowly, and everyone seemed to know everyone else. Their home was the kind neighbors admired: white picket fence, manicured lawn, and laughter often echoing from the backyard. Rachel Evans, the older of two sisters, was the backbone of this picture-perfect life. She was a school counselor, known for her calming voice and nurturing spirit. Her husband, Michael, was a successful architect who had designed half the houses on their street. Together they had two children, a boy and a girl, and seemed to have achieved the kind of happiness others only dreamed of. To most, Rachel had it all. She was the reliable daughter, the devoted wife, and the ever-present mother. Her life was structured, orderly, and safe. Her younger sister, Lily, was the opposite. Where Rachel followed rules, Lily broke them. She had always been the rebellious one, carefree, impulsive, and wild-hearted. She bounced from job to job, city to city, relationship to relationship, leaving behind a trail of unfinished plans and hurt feelings. When Lily called Rachel in tears after another breakup and losing her apartment, Rachel didn't hesitate. She invited her to move into their guest house for as long as she needed. It was an act of kindness Rachel didn't think twice about. She believed family always came first, and Lily was family, no matter how messy her life had become. Michael was less enthusiastic, but he agreed. He respected Rachel's loyalty and hoped Lily wouldn't overstay her welcome. At first, things were manageable. Lily arrived with just a few bags and an upbeat attitude. She promised to get a new job soon and not be a burden. Rachel was glad to have her sister close again and even enjoyed their late-night talks, reminiscing about childhood. The children adored their fun aunt who let them stay up late and brought them candy behind their mother's back. But soon, the dynamics in the house began to shift. Lily didn't seem in a hurry to find work. She spent most of her time lounging by the pool or borrowing Rachel's clothes without asking. She was everywhere, at breakfast, during family dinners, joining Michael on errands she had no reason to be part of. She seemed to be inserting herself into the rhythm of the household, molding herself into a permanent fixture. Michael noticed her first, not in a conscious, deliberate way, but she had a magnetic energy that demanded attention. She laughed louder, touched his arm more often than necessary, and wore outfits that made it hard not to look twice. Rachel remained unaware. She was busy juggling her job, the kids, and keeping the house running smoothly. She trusted both of them without question. To outsiders, the Evans family still looked flawless. The holiday photos were perfect, their social media full of smiling faces and happy captions. No one could see the silent shifts beneath the surface. Cracks were forming in their foundation, small at first, but growing. Lily's presence wasn't just unsettling, it was dangerous, and no one saw it coming. Lily had always known how to get what she wanted. She didn't rely on charm alone. She studied people, learned their habits, and discovered their weaknesses. Michael wasn't hard to figure out. He was quiet, thoughtful, and predictable, the kind of man who stuck to a schedule and followed rules. But Lily saw something else beneath the surface: restlessness. It was subtle, buried under responsibility and loyalty, but it was there. She began to exploit it, one small interaction at a time. It started with small, seemingly innocent moments. She'd join him for coffee early in the morning before Rachel woke up, claiming she was just an early riser. They'd chat about architecture, music, or childhood memories, and she'd find ways to agree with him on everything. She laughed at his jokes, complimented his work, and offered the kind of attention he didn't even realize he'd been missing. While Rachel was focused on parenting and her demanding job, Lily filled in the emotional spaces Michael hadn't noticed were empty. Her approach was subtle. She didn't push too hard, didn't cross any obvious lines. Instead, she created a bond that grew stronger each day. She made him feel seen, like he wasn't just a husband or father, but a man someone truly admired. And it worked. Michael began looking forward to their brief conversations. He started spending more time outside near the guest house, where she usually lingered, reading or sunbathing. He began noticing the way she moved, the way she smiled at him just a moment too long. The first real breach happened one late afternoon. The house was quiet. Rachel had taken the kids to a birthday party, and Michael was working in his home office. Lily brought him a glass of wine, saying she thought he could use a break. She sat on the arm of his chair, close enough for him to smell her perfume. That moment, heavy with unspoken tension, changed everything. What had been a series of harmless encounters tipped into dangerous territory. The affair began days later. It wasn't love. It was desire, secrecy, and adrenaline. They met when Rachel was out, using stolen moments in the guest house or the back seat of Michael's car. It was wrong, and they knew it. But they didn't stop. The thrill of the secret pulled them in deeper each time. They convinced themselves they were careful, that no one would find out. Lily was confident Rachel would never suspect a thing. Michael, guilt-ridden but addicted, followed her lead. Rachel remained trusting, almost too trusting. She had no reason to doubt her husband or her sister. If anything, she was happy they were getting along. She often thanked Lily for helping, out around the house unaware she was praising the very person betraying her. The guilt Michael carried began to weigh him down, but Lily brushed it off. She told him they deserved happiness, that Rachel didn't truly understand him like she did. The affair was no longer just a physical relationship. For Lily, it was a conquest. She wasn't satisfied with sharing. She wanted Michael completely. And in her mind, there was only one way to get him. Rachel had to go. Lily's desire to have Michael all to herself turned obsessive. The affair had been thrilling at first, but she quickly grew impatient. She hated hiding. She wanted more, his time, his commitment, his entire life. But as long as Rachel was still in the picture, she would always be the outsider. Lily started to believe that Rachel didn't deserve the life she had. She convinced herself that she, not Rachel, was the one who belonged in that house, in that marriage, raising those children. That twisted belief became her mission. She began by planting quiet doubts in Michael's mind. She told him Rachel didn't appreciate him, that she took him for granted. Whenever Rachel forgot something or seemed distracted, Lily would point it out in subtle ways, feeding his discontent. She reminded him that he worked so hard and got so little in return. She framed herself as the person who truly understood him, the one who saw him as more than just a provider. Slowly, her words began to take hold. Michael didn't fully turn against Rachel, but cracks formed in his trust. Meanwhile, Lily escalated her plan. She researched ways to make someone sick, without immediate detection. It had to be slow and undramatic, something that could be explained away as stress or exhaustion. She started small. She swapped out vitamins in Rachel's pill organizer and stirred small amounts of over-the-counter substances into her morning tea. Rachel began to feel the effects within weeks: nausea, dizziness, and constant fatigue. Doctors couldn't pinpoint the cause. Blood tests were inconclusive. It looked like simple burnout. Rachel blamed herself. She thought she was working too hard and not sleeping enough. She started missing school functions and family outings, too weak to participate. Lily offered to help, stepping in to take the kids to school and help with dinner. She made herself indispensable, all while watching Rachel deteriorate slowly and quietly. Michael became more concerned, but Lily was always there to comfort him, telling him everything would be okay, that he was strong for holding the family together. Eventually, Lily began using stronger substances. Her goal wasn't just to make Rachel sick, it was to erase her. She found a compound used in pesticides, something that in small doses caused symptoms similar to a neurological illness. She administered it carefully every few days, just enough to deepen Rachel's confusion and disorientation. Still, no one suspected foul play. The symptoms were subtle, and Lily's facade of support kept her above suspicion. The turning point came at a charity fundraiser one evening. Rachel insisted on attending, wanting to prove she was still in control. But halfway through the event, she collapsed in front of dozens of people. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, and doctors immediately ran a battery of tests. This time they found something. Traces of toxins in her bloodstream pointed to poisoning. The hospital notified the police. A criminal investigation was launched. The once perfect Evans family was now under a microscope. No one was above suspicion. Lily pretended to be devastated, staying close to Michael, playing the role of concerned sister-in-law. But behind closed doors, she was unraveling. Her plan, so carefully constructed, was starting to come apart, and the questions were only just beginning. The hospital's discovery of toxins in Rachel's blood changed everything. What had been assumed to be stress or illness was now a confirmed case of poisoning. The news rippled through the Evans household like a silent explosion, tearing apart the illusion of peace. Police were brought in immediately, and the home was treated as a potential crime scene. Officers collected medications, food items, and household chemicals. They asked questions that made Michael's stomach turn. He had no answers, only guilt. The investigation began with those closest to Rachel. Naturally, Michael was the first person of interest. He lived with her, prepared meals, and had access to her medicine. Detectives asked about the state of their marriage, about any stress, arguments, or financial strain. Michael admitted things had been tense lately, blaming Rachel's health and their busy lives. He didn't mention Lily, not yet. As police dug deeper, they learned about Lily living in the guest house. Her name hadn't come up much at first, but when officers saw her listed as a household resident, she was brought in for questioning. Her behavior was cooperative, almost too much so. She spoke at length about Rachel's declining health, suggesting it had started long before anyone noticed. She offered to help in any way she could. But investigators noticed inconsistencies in her statements. Timelines didn't match. Her version of events sometimes contradicted Michael's. While Lily tried to maintain her innocence, detectives quietly obtained a warrant to search her guest house. Inside, they found unsettling items. A small stash of pills, labeled but unusual in content, was hidden in a bathroom cabinet. Beneath her bed, buried under old clothes, they uncovered a folder containing handwritten notes, lists of symptoms, chemical names, dosages, and timelines. The most damning evidence came from the kitchen security footage. Though Michael had installed cameras primarily for outside surveillance, one small camera covered the side pantry where Rachel kept her vitamins and snacks. Reviewing the footage, officers saw Lily entering the pantry alone on multiple occasions, sometimes late at night. One video showed her carefully opening Rachel's pill organizer and replacing several capsules. When presented with the evidence, Michael broke down. The weight of the affair, the guilt, and the realization of how far Lily had gone crushed him. He confessed to the relationship, but insisted he knew nothing about the poisoning. He told detectives how the affair started, how it escalated, and how blind he had been to Lily's obsession. Rachel remained unconscious in the hospital. Her condition was critical, and doctors weren't optimistic. Prosecutors decided to move quickly. Lily was arrested and charged with attempted murder. The media swarmed the case, painting it as a twisted story of betrayal and jealousy. Despite the charges, Lily showed no real remorse. She claimed she was misunderstood, that she only ever wanted to be loved. She maintained her innocence publicly, calling herself a victim of a broken family dynamic. But in private, investigators saw the truth. Her fixation on Michael, her envy toward Rachel, and her belief that what she wanted was hers to take. Rachel's life still hung in the balance, but the truth had finally come to light. What began as a family act of kindness had turned into a nightmare, and the final outcome was yet to be decided. Rachel never regained consciousness. After several days in the hospital, hooked up to machines with her family keeping vigil, her body gave out. The official cause of death was toxic organ failure caused by prolonged poisoning. Her passing turned Lily's case from attempted murder to first-degree homicide. The community, once charmed by the Evans family's seeming perfection, was now shaken by the reality that one sister had killed the other out of envy and obsession. The trial began 6 months later and became one of the most talked-about court cases in the state. Every detail of the Evans family's private life was dragged into the public eye. Reporters flooded the courthouse, covering every moment: the affair, the poisoning, the betrayal. People couldn't believe that a woman could not only seduce her sister's husband, but also go so far as to murder her own flesh and blood just to take her place. The prosecution built a strong case. They presented the chemical evidence, the security footage, and Lily's handwritten notes detailing her step-by-step method to poison Rachel without detection. The toxicology reports matched the dosages and substances listed in Lily's documents. Experts testified that the poisoning had been deliberate and prolonged, pointing to an unmistakable intent to kill. Michael took the stand. His testimony was filled with regret. He admitted to the affair, told the court how it had started, and how he had been manipulated. He broke down several times, describing the guilt he felt over Rachel's death. He said he never believed Lily was capable of murder, and that by the time he realized how unstable she had become, it was already too late. The courtroom watched him with a mix of pity and contempt. Lily, in contrast, remained composed. She listened to the testimony, took notes, and occasionally smirked when the evidence was presented. She insisted that Michael was lying, that she was being framed, and that Rachel had always been sick. Her defense team argued that there was no motive strong enough for her to kill her sister, claiming that the affair, while unfortunate, did not prove she was capable of murder. But the evidence was overwhelming. After a 3-week trial, the jury deliberated for only 2 days. Lily was found guilty of first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and unlawful possession of toxic substances. She was sentenced to life, in prison, without the possibility of parole. Her only visible reaction was a flicker of annoyance, as if the verdict had inconvenienced her more than devastated her. Michael didn't attend the sentencing. He had lost everything: his wife, his family, his reputation. Rachel's parents gained custody of the children and cut off all contact with him. He moved away quietly, swallowed by shame and sorrow. His name would always be tied to the scandal, and no apology could erase what had happened. Rachel Evans had opened her home out of love and generosity. She had trusted her sister, believed in forgiveness, and never imagined that kindness could lead to betrayal so deep it would end in death. In the end, one sister's obsession destroyed an entire family, leaving behind only grief and unanswered questions.